Ethan Marlowe's life has been stuck in quiet grief ever since losing his wife. Between long workdays and raising his son alone, he holds himself together by a thread. But one night, exhausted and heartbroken, he accidentally sends an emotional text, meant for his late wife, to the cold, untouchable woman who runs his company, Helena Ward. Ethan Marlowe stared at the glowing screen of his phone, his pulse pounding so loudly it felt like the room itself was vibrating. The message he had just sent sat there in bold white text, mocking him with its honesty. "I miss you so much I can barely breathe." He had meant to send it to his wife's old number, something he still did on nights when grief pressed hard against his ribs. But tonight, in his exhaustion after another difficult evening with his 7-year-old son, Liam, his thumb had slipped. Instead of sending the text into the void of a disconnected number, he had sent it to his boss, Helena Ward. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below, and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. Of all people on the planet, Helena Ward was the last person he wanted receiving a message like that. She was a brilliant strategist, a sharp-tongued perfectionist, and the type of woman people whispered about in hallways. Her calm, cool demeanor at Ward Creative Agency made her both respected and feared. Yes, she valued Ethan's work and had supported him as a single father. But they weren't friends. They barely spoke beyond work. He scrambled to type an explanation, but before his fingers hit send, 3 dots appeared on the screen. She was already responding. Ethan dropped the phone on the couch and buried his face in his hands. At 38, he had learned to hold himself together for Liam, but tonight the weight was too much. 2 years had passed since his wife, Hannah, died suddenly from a stroke. 2 years of late nights alone, 2 years of trying to fill both parental roles, 2 years of pretending the wound wasn't still open. And tonight, watching other families at Liam's school event had carved out a fresh ache. Liam came home quiet, curled into Ethan's side, and cried until he fell asleep. That was when Ethan reached for his phone, and made the wrong choice. The phone chimed again. He forced himself to pick it up. "Helena, Ethan, are you all right? This doesn't sound like something you would say by accident. Do you need to talk?" He typed quickly. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. That message wasn't meant for you. Please disregard it." Her reply came instantly. "Helena, who was it meant for?" The truth was humiliating. But lying would be worse. "Ethan, my wife's old number. Sometimes I text her when nights feel too heavy. It was a mistake. Again, I apologize." The dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Helena, you don't need to apologize. Get some rest." Ethan released a shaky breath. Maybe she'd forget. Maybe by Monday everything would be normal. He didn't expect the doorbell to ring at 10:15 the next morning. When he opened the door, he froze. Helena Ward stood on his porch wearing jeans, a soft maroon sweater, and a gentle expression he had never seen before. In her hands were 2 cups of coffee and a cup of hot chocolate. "Good morning," she said lightly. "I brought reinforcements." "Helena, why are you here?" Before she could answer, Liam peeked from behind Ethan's leg, squinting up at her. "You're the lady who tells Dad to work late," he declared honestly. Helena chuckled and knelt down. "I am. And I'm sorry about that. Maybe I can help with whatever you two are working on to make up for it." "We're building a model of the planets," Liam said. "Dad messed up Jupiter. And Saturn is terrible." "Well," Helena said, grinning, "I happen to be an expert on Saturn. Especially the rings." Liam lit up. "Come see." And just like that, he pulled her into the living room. Ethan stood there dumbfounded. Helena Ward, queen of boundaries, breaker of egos, was in his home on a Saturday morning offering help with glitter, glue, and solar system foam balls. "You don't have to do this," Ethan said quietly as she slipped off her coat. "I know," Helena said softly. "But sometimes people need someone to show up. Even if it's just to fix Saturn." For the next 2 hours, Ethan watched in stunned silence as Helena taught Liam about planets, gravity, and the sheer beauty of the universe. She was patient, warm, funny in a dry way that made Liam giggle uncontrollably. Once the project was finished and left to dry, Ethan insisted on making lunch. Over grilled sandwiches and apple slices, Liam swung his legs happily and talked about his friends, his school, and his mom. "Sometimes I miss her when I'm brushing my teeth," Liam said. "It's like she should be there, but she isn't." Helena's face softened. "My mom died when I was 10, she said quietly. "It was just me and my dad after that. I know what it feels like to miss someone in the small moments." Liam stared at her, wide-eyed. "So you're like me?" Helena nodded. "Exactly like you." After lunch, Liam proudly offered to show Helena his collection of baseball cards. They disappeared into the hallway, leaving Ethan alone with the warmth of the kitchen and the whirlwind of emotions he didn't know how to process. When Helena returned, she leaned against the counter beside him. "He's an incredible kid." "Thanks," Ethan said quietly. "And thank you for being here. I still don't understand why you came." Helena hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "When I read your message last night," she said, "it hit close to home. I know what it feels like to miss someone until it hurts. I know what it feels like to hold yourself together for a child who looks to you for everything." Ethan blinked, surprised. "I didn't know you lost someone." She glanced down, her voice softening. "My husband, Daniel, passed away 5 years ago. Heart attack. One moment he was there, the next moment he wasn't. I buried myself in work to cope. Built the agency. Filled my life with noise so I wouldn't have to feel the silence." Ethan's chest tightened. "I never would have guessed." "I don't talk about it," Helena said with a half smile. "People expect me to be strong, untouchable. But last night, when you sent that message, I recognized the pain." Ethan looked at her, really looked. Not the boss who intimidated a room, but the woman who had lost the love of her life, who also carried invisible cracks in her heart. Moments later, Liam returned with a hopeful expression. "Can Helena come to the park with us? We go every Saturday." Ethan shot Helena an apologetic look. "You've already given up half your day." "I'd love to go," Helena interrupted. "If it's all right with both of you." At the park, she pushed Liam on the swings until he squealed with excitement. She helped him build a crooked sand tower and even raced him down the slide, losing on purpose but pretending she hadn't. Ethan watched them from the park bench, warmth blooming in his chest. He hadn't felt this kind of peace in a long time. As the sun dipped lower, they walked back home, Liam skipping ahead with the remains of his ice cream cone. "He's going to crash hard," Ethan said. "Completely worth it," Helena replied. "These are the moments he'll remember." At the porch, Liam threw his arms around her. "Can you come again tomorrow? We're going to Grandma's." Caught off guard, Helena looked at Ethan. He shrugged helplessly. "That's sweet," she said gently. "But I don't want to intrude." "You could be family too," Liam said matter-of-factly. "Dad needs friends. He's lonely." Ethan felt the heat rise to his face. "Liam." But Helena only smiled, touched rather than embarrassed. When Liam went inside, Ethan exhaled. "I'm sorry. Kids say whatever comes to mind." "Don't apologize," she said. "He's perceptive. And he's right. Everyone needs someone." There was a pause. A quiet, honest pause. Ethan looked at her. "Thank you for today. It meant more than you know." She reached into her purse, pulled out a small card, and scribbled something on the back. "My personal number," she said. "In case you ever want to send a message to the right person." She walked toward her car. Ethan called after her. "Helena, why did you really come today?" She stopped, looking back with a soft, vulnerable smile. "Because sometimes the universe uses small accidents to show us what we've been missing." That night, after Liam fell asleep, Ethan held the card in his hand. Before doubt could take over, he typed a message. "Thank you for today." Liam hasn't stopped smiling. "Neither have I." Her reply came almost immediately. "I haven't felt this light in a long time." And something shifted. Over the next months, Helena became woven into their lives. Sunday dinners, homework nights, trips with her rescue dog, Moose. She stopped being the intimidating boss and became something gentler. Something essential. At work, professionalism remained. But there were moments, shared glances, quiet smiles, that hinted at a deeper connection. 3 months after the accidental text, Ethan invited her to dinner. Just the two of them. Over pasta and wine, they opened the doors to their grief, their fears, the guilt of moving forward. "I'm scared," Ethan admitted. Scared of letting someone in. Scared of what Hannah would think. Helena reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. "I think she'd want you to live, to heal, to love again. And I think she'd be grateful you're doing everything you can for Liam." Ethan swallowed hard. "What about you? Are you scared?" Her eyes glistened. "Terrified. I spent years building walls because it was easier than acknowledging how empty I felt. But then you texted me by mistake, and something told me to show up." Ethan smiled. "I'm glad you did." On his porch that night, with the wind brushing past them, she whispered, "Some beginnings look like accidents. But maybe they're not." Then she leaned in and kissed him, soft and slow, a kiss filled with hope and the promise of healing. 6 months later, Helena moved into their home. Liam decorated her office with drawings. Moose and their new puppy, Scout, turned the house into joyful chaos. Ethan's mother-in-law welcomed Helena wholeheartedly, assuring Ethan that Hannah would approve. On the anniversary of the misdirected message, Ethan took Helena to the park where everything began. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he knelt. "I never thought my heart could love again," he said. "But you showed me that love doesn't replace what came before. It expands. You stepped into our lives when we needed someone the most. You healed us. And you let us heal you." He opened the ring box. "Helena Ward, will you marry me and make this unexpected family complete?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." 1 year later, Ethan watched her walk toward him down the aisle, Liam beaming proudly as the ring bearer. Family and friends watched with tears and joy. During her vows, Helena smiled at Ethan and said, "People spend their whole lives searching for the person who feels like home. I found mine because of a message that wasn't supposed to reach me." At the reception, Ethan's mother-in-law toasted to Hannah, to healing, to new beginnings, and to the courage it takes to open one's heart after loss. Later that night, during their first dance, Helena whispered, "I'm so grateful you texted the wrong person." Ethan brushed a thumb over her cheek. "I think," he said softly, "I texted exactly who I was meant to." Because sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin with a mistake that was never a mistake at all.